Hello, everybody. We are live on Live Reality Games, Facebook and YouTube, and you can catch the podcast later if you're like me and you don't like watching videos. So we are here today, like always, with H. Flem, Luke, and Pat, but we are so happy to be joined today by Mr. Ty Howell. Ty, how's it going? From Sequester Season 3.
Woo!
It's going good. It's going good. I'm excited to talk about this episode. It was a juicy one.
For sure it was.
A lot of controversy.
What? Controversy?
No.
No. I am ready to jump into it. That's for sure. The Twitter trolls can go ahead and jump in and chime in, right? Just kidding. Okay.
Don't add us. We do.
We love Twitter trolls.
Before we get started with talking about the episode, though, Ty, I would love to hear what you're thinking about this season. Who are you loving? Who are you hating? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the production value is insane. It's so crazy, like how the better it looks and the better the audio is, and there's more cameras. It seems like everyone has a mic. The more like really invested you get into like every single person. I think it's really allowing every person to shine, which makes it hard to choose like who you're really feeling.
Are you jealous of the production value they're getting?
Oh yeah. Because I was a lot of people would say that I was probably like one of the more quieter people in my season. People didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, oh, I wish there was like I had a mic on me the whole time, or like there was more cameras like pick up on more conversations that I was having. Mm-hmm. And that was partly my fault too, because like we were instructed to like if you're talking, like grab a camera and like make sure it gets on film. But I was just like, I'm playing the game. I don't fucking care if there's a camera on me.
And did that put like is this like a behind the scenes question? Does that put a target on you that you're about to have an important conversation if you have to go grab a camera?
Oh, I mean, that was definitely in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm grabbing like, hey, camera, come over into this room with me. Like, it's like, that looks sketchy to me.
Right.
So, like, I didn't know if I wanted to do that.
Yeah, and I know for me, like, it would be really hard for me to think about the game and also about production at the same time. Like, my mom would just be so, like, focusing on the strategic conversation. I wouldn't even be thinking about getting it recorded.
And some people didn't think about that. Like, but me, the kind of player I am, I was thinking about everything.
Yeah, very cerebral, which is good. And it's also true for thinking of like this edit this season is very, the Sequester edit, especially in the live games, very even for the most part. You can't really tell who's going to win. You can tell the big characters, but I didn't realize that behind the scenes tidbit. That's actually good to know going forward.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's still similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we've seen a lot more control in this season of when people can talk game, there's going to be cameras on them, but most of the time, like they can talk game. Like when the round is over, people aren't allowed to have strategic discussions. So I think we've really gotten more of the full story in this season than maybe we have in past seasons.
But to answer your question though, about who I'm loving, it is hard to choose because it really is changing episode to episode. Like at first I was a huge Josh fan. I loved how he just had just crazy confidence, just calling people out, like making sure that people feared him in this game, and I respect that kind of gameplay. As this season has gone on, episode 2, Billy really showed up, and
I know.
Love Billy right now. I'd say in this last episode, Billy's still up there. I like Brendan a lot. And when I'm looking at this cast, like I'm like, okay, this person reminds me of like Brendan reminds me of Dustin from my season, and
right.
I'm like constantly kind of comparing like Marcelo reminds me of Hunter from my season.
Ooh,
that's a good one. That's a good, yeah.
And it's just like kind of making these little comparisons, like because now I'm very close to the people I played with, and season 3. So I'm kind of like trying to eye him up. Like, okay, I probably would get along with this person, probably wouldn't with this person. And that's kind of how I'm watching it right now.
Natalie gives me total Jess Yeager vibes, in my opinion. I feel like Natalie is kind of in that same spot of like no one thinks she's a threat, so she can make those like under the radar moves that anybody knowing. I don't know if she has like maybe the same. I think that Jess was a little more like game minded than Natalie is, but I think she could pull it off.
The social connections too help a lot, that they have those bonds without people realizing.
I think his internet broke.
Oh no, we lost Ty.
We broke the internet.
That's okay. We'll find out if he comes back. That's kind of, so I guess my next question was going to be for Ty, but we could make it about the episode. Brent's in the chat. Brent just put a huge comment about how, talking about what we just said, if you were caught having a convo without a camera, you and the person you were plotting with are called out to the house, and they all knew the rules.
I kind of like that. I'm kind of glad if that was an informal or formal rule. I'm kind of glad that was a thing, because why not? Make sure if you're giving television to the people that are watching, make sure it's getting filmed.
Yeah. Well, since we lost Ty, let's just go back and start at the beginning, because we got Natalie going into Luxury Row. We got a little tidbit from Sequester Bot that once a power is taken, that it will not be replenished. So from what I understand, Natalie had only a 33% chance of getting a power. Is that what you guys thought? Because I couldn't tell if it was, are there only 2 boxes? Like, are there only 2 envelopes, or is there 3 still?
Yes, I think that means there's only 2 powers out of the 3 boxes. So since Josh grabbed one last week, they replenish it with an empty envelope. So now it's 1 of 3, like you said.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, still good chances.
Unfortunately, she did not get anything. I was really hoping she would get something, but
right before she opened the box, I was like, watch her not get something. Like, watch her luck that would happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a 1 in 3 chance, so it was far from a guarantee. I'm kind of hey Ty.
No, the last thing you're saying is about Natalie reminding of Jess. To me, Natalie reminds me of Cameron for my season. Like, I feel like
what?
Oh,
I do not see that.
Their personalities, like I think Cameron was very like nervous at the beginning. I think he kind of the same way, but then like Cameron's really competitive and like all about the competitions, and so is Natalie. Like, I see a lot of Cameron in Natalie.
Okay.
I guess I think of Cameron as being way more outspoken, like playing from the front than Natalie.
Yeah.
In my
Her
opinion.
confessionals were like that too. That's probably why, because behind it, she's very much a big personality. But you know her personally, so that makes sense.
Cameron was very upfront and a big shit talker, but it was only in the confessionals.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha. We need to see Natalie bring up the heat more in the confessional. She was getting there the past episode. All right, speaking of season 3, what do you think about your boy Jay West?
Jay West, my God. So I was very happy to see him get another chance, because he is a big personality. And, you know, once the season wrapped and we watched everything, it's like, oh, Jay West is for sure getting a call back. You know, if once they start calling people back to play again, just because he was only in a few episodes, and like he was so quotable, like an insane chaotic player, almost similar to Judd in season 2. But you know, once the season wrapped and we were watching it and we we're all talking about it, you know, I tried to like, you know, Jay West was really confident like he might get a call back too, like in all our private conversation. I was just like, and we all talk about the game. I was like, Jay West, like, but you realize like how you played was bad, right? Like, you're not good. And like, I would try to like explain to him like, you know, how he could play better.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing him come back was very exciting, because I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna like switch it up. He's gonna like play more strategically, and he just did the same shit. He did the same exact shit he did in my season.
It was literally the same thing.
The same shit.
Like his third episode ever, basically. He just kept
got an even worse placement. So I'm just like, dear God, dude.
Yeah. I remember, I think I listened to like a Jay West X interview on RHAP, and he said something about how he only can play the game like if he can have control. Like he can't leave anything out of his hands. Like it all has to be like his decision. And you definitely saw that when he was like, Josh was picking battle match. Like, I'm not afraid to go against you in a battle match. Like, it was a power thing. Like, I'm not going to act scared.
He can't help himself.
Do you know, has Jay West ever played like online games with Survivor or Big Brother or something like this?
No, he's played He's played a few minis, I think.
Yeah.
He's gone early in some, and he made it to the end in another one.
Yeah.
I don't think he won, but he did make it to the end in one by having this like crazy chaotic player energy. But playing online and then playing in person, it's just two completely different beasts.
Can we pull up Josh's comment real quick?
I feel personally bad for this because I could have chose Josh. I could have chosen Josh, and I chose Jordan.
No, but in all of our defenses, Josh was the first person voted out. We're not freaking psychics. Yes. We can't predict who can win battle matches, but we predicted who was voted out first, Josh. So get off our backs. But that being said, I'm loving Josh. I'm glad he's still in the game. He was. I'm not just saying this because he's coming for our edges in the chat, but he was like probably my favorite preseason interview out of everybody. I love the preseason interview.
Well, players like Josh, you have to appreciate. If you're in the game with Josh, because I feel like he comes at you like pretty straightforward about what he's thinking and what he wants to do, and like those kind of players are very rare to be in the type of game this is. It's rare to have people who are willing to do that. And I think it's a testament to like his confidence and his ability in the game.
Yeah, I remember Josh also said in his preseason interview that he really admires Tony Vlachos. So want to play like Tony. I was like, okay, we've all heard it before. Everyone wants to play like Tony. Everyone loves really Tony, right? Yeah. But like this episode when he did the filibuster, I was like, damn, this guy is actually like a really innovative player. Like he really like plays a balls to the wall game. So. Yeah. Josh, we appreciate you.
It'll be really interesting to talk about where Josh went right and where Spencer has gone wrong this episode. Yes. I feel like Josh really set himself up really well after surviving the battle match. He didn't burn bridges. We've seen him recover so well. His name has not been in anyone's mouth. Spencer, I don't know what it's going to look like for Spencer going forward, but we'll get there, right?
Yeah.
We will get there. So, Ty, we did kind of talk a little bit about Luxury Row, and like sadly, Natalie did not get anything. And then shortly after that, we were introduced to the Majority Rules competition. Pat, what did you think about the Majority Rules twist for this round?
I feel like it's a great addition to the show, just in the sense that we've seen it in different ways in the online version, like in the minis, but it's cool to see it in play in person. And for the reason that I personally like, because when I play online games or when I play things, I like the social part of it. So these people have to go through and not only make a plan A, but have the wherewithal to then make a plan B and follow that through, which is really great socially, but also strategically. So they have to like kind of use both at the same time, which is awesome. And we saw that a lot in this episode. It really keeps the episode going. There isn't a very dull moment in this episode because we're constantly churning through, wait, who's the real plan? Who's the fake plan? And they are too. So we get to live through that with them, which I really appreciated. What did you guys think of it, though?
Yeah, I love seeing this in the mini version. I got to play this in Sequester. Winners at War 2. Shout out to the best Sequester game ever. When they did Majority Rules, there was an alliance beforehand that had come up with what their answer for Majority Rules was going to be. If it happened in the game, the answer was going to be the word nothing. So that was going to, no matter what the question was, we had a word ready. So I was in the alliance that was told that answer, but I had one person tell me the answer. Shout out to Briz. And my plan going in is that when they found out that Hannah found out what the answer was, that I was going to pin it on someone that I wanted out. So that's what I did when someone was like, oh, you found out? And I told them that it was someone else that I wanted out. And, it paid off. That person got out. I was soon after. But anyways, I wanted to see that kind of strategy happen. I wanted someone to use that to their advantage, to pin some kind of chaos on someone else. It wasn't the most exciting thing because, I feel like it was Josh who had the strategy of just being the biggest group the whole time. Brendan was like, the first name is not always the name. You want to be there for the last name. And And that's basically how it goes. What did you guys think about like the thrill of this challenge, this twist?
I think it was interesting. And you see people like Marcelo who like does the opposite of go into every room and follow people around. He's like, he heard a name and he's like, but if the name changes, I don't really care because I'm going to go look for an LOS anyway. So that was interesting. But other than that, I do kind of think the majority rules twist, like it's already in the name, like the majority rules twist benefits the majority in terms of who's going to be voted out. So we already kind of saw people, particularly Spencer. I think he was kind of the person that was maybe a little more singled out of like, Spencer's not going to be in the real plan. And we saw Muna saying that she also didn't want Brent to be in the real plan. So those two are really kind of like, she did get her wish. She got those two people on the bottom. What I think would be interesting is once the big group figures out, so once that final group comes together and says Rachel is the name, does anybody from that group purposely want to be in the minority so then they can't be chosen for a battle match, even though they could be voted out? So like, this would be like, a 4D chess move. But like if Muna was like, okay, Spencer is in the minority, he's probably going to get voted out. Let me put myself in the minority, purposely get the answer wrong. And then even though I could be voted for, he can't pick me for a battle match.
Well, you kind of see that a little bit with Marcelo. Like he was in a minority. I don't think he was particularly scared that he was going to get the votes when he's going against Spencer or Brent.
Right.
But he played it up like he was. He played it up like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on the bottom and I was left out of everything. Like, please don't vote me out. Like, oh, I'm like this frail person who like needs help. And it worked out for him. And I mean, there's a lot of ways you can play this. Like people could have, one person could have gone to Spencer, Brent, or Marcelo and gained an ally by telling them what the vote was going to be. Just one person, just pull them to the side, like, vote this, trust me, and like not say anything else. No one, I don't think anyone feels like they trust those three people enough to clue them in, and that's why they ended up on the bottom. And that's why you subsequently see Brent freaking out, because Brent knows if not a single person told him, or Spencer knows not a single person told him, that means everyone doesn't trust you.
Yeah, someone's gunning for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the bigger blindside was this week. Because like, was it Brent not being included in the majority, Pat, or was it Taylor Swift's new album drop this week? I don't know what's the bigger blindside.
So, or the blindside that it wasn't that good. Is that okay to say?
Oh, okay.
Is that okay to say? Is that a different podcast?
We'll talk about that off the podcast.
That's a different podcast.
I couldn't believe that Brent was so blindsided that the first plan wasn't the real plan. Because like, hello, I don't know how long the round is, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but the plan that you make in minute 1, did you really think that group of 7 was going to fit together? Like, do you really think, because the people on the outs were Natalie, Jacob, Rachel, and Shireen. Did you really think that people were going to be okay leaving those specific 4 people on the outs? Because,
exactly.
I mean, we heard Billy in confessional say, like, that does not sit well with me. Like, I'm not going to have Rachel and Shireen on the outs and vulnerable. That doesn't work for her game at all. And people like Spencer were going to be in the majority? No.
Well, you have some people who recognize right away, like, this is not going to work. And then you had some people who are just, like, blindly thinking, like, oh, like, we can just go spread a fake name and the original thing we came up with is going to work. And then you had some people who had, like, the foresight and to understand how this was probably going to work, like Brendan, who was like, I just need to make sure I'm in the last conversation about who these votes are going for. And he made that happen. Everyone played it differently.
Yeah, Brent's saying the round was only 10 minutes. That is insane.
That is insane.
That is insane. And I think,
I was just going to say, I guarantee it wasn't 30 minutes.
And I think now what we're getting into, because I'm pretty sure the first 2 rounds were each on separate days.
Yeah.
And so I think now we're on day 3 of the game, and I think they're probably doing 2 or 3 rounds per day from now on, is what I understand. So these are going a lot faster.
And this is, okay, at this point, when this challenge starts, is when we see Muna do another thing against Spencer. The Spencer and Muna feud has been boiling for a couple rounds. When the game starts and they have their first name, Muna is saying to the group, this is our group. This is what we stick with. We've seen this in Sequester minis, like, oh, this room.
This room
like,
right here.
It doesn't matter what happened. This is the room.
It's like, all right, come on.
Yeah. And so here's Spencer. He puts in the name that they all said. And then he got screwed over again by these people, you know? So so I loved the like, oh, this literally this room. This room.
Yeah. That's like us right now. Yeah, we're
And Brent
final
said,
four guys.
if anybody strays from this, they're getting chosen for the battle match, right? But then, I mean, Brent was obviously the one that was on the out, so it's like it didn't matter. But it's just funny to like go back after you've already know the results and like people in this room are like, you know, Josh saying this is it. Brent's like, if anyone strays, they're getting chosen for the battle match. So yeah, but then of course by the end of the round,
what do you guys think about the question? Who in the game is most likely to taint the jury?
Yeah, why did that get ignored too? Like, I know that's like strategy thing, but it's a good question to bring up. That's like a juicy question.
Yeah, do you guys have the correct answer?
Well, that's essentially asking who has the most influence over people.
Right.
Well, I think also who's going to be bitter.
And
right. I would say Brent or Muna.
Yeah.
Easily.
Brent has the sway. He knows a lot of them too. And Muna has that charming ability that she can be like, I don't like this person. We saw it in this episode. Like, obviously Spencer made her feel a type of way and she didn't tank him. It's what he did. He should own up to the emotions of it. But that she took the narrative how she saw it and how she felt. So if she was on that jury, it would be the same thing. If it was the final two between Spencer and someone else, she would do the same thing if it was something she felt. So she has that sway.
That's interesting. I was not expecting that answer, but that Yeah,
I vibe with that one.
So we're saying Rachel isn't the correct answer?
Rachel is not the correct answer.
She's so sweet.
Okay, I don't think Rachel is that sweet, actually. I don't think Rachel's sweet. Like,
well, she seems sweet as a person.
Rachel is savage. Rachel is savage. And I freaking love Rachel. I feel like...
Yeah, she's with a smile on her face. She'll be like, Brent is the most abrasive person. And she'll be looking at him like,
Rachel has great reads. Like, her reads are on point on everyone. But she is an observer. She takes in information. She agrees with what everyone's saying to her, but she has her own opinions, which she's not really open about with, besides people like Shireen.
Yeah, her and Shireen are tight.
Yes. Yeah. But Rachel has great reads. I think if she properly plays on those reads, she has potential to go very far. But I don't know if she has enough people in her corner.
Yeah, I think Shireen and Rachel losing Muna is not great. I think those were like probably a core three, and maybe Billy's in the mix too, but I think Billy is much more spread out amongst the house.
She is, yeah.
Yeah. I liked Shireen had a kind of a different approach when the round started, and knowing that this round was only 10 minutes, it's pretty insane that Shireen's first instinct was to go follow up with Natalie about the previous round. It's like, how do you have time to like go do that? But Shireen tells Natalie, this was an interesting plot to follow across the episode. Shireen tells Natalie the 4 votes against Spencer were Shireen, Rachel, Muna, and Marcelo, which that is the true answer. Those were actually the 4 people. We're going to see later in the episode that Jacob Jones is trying to throw Muna under the bus a little bit. And like,
I don't get it. I don't understand why he was doing that.
And for what exactly?
Yeah, I really don't feel like it worked, and I wish we could have gotten a very clear confession from Natalie about who she trusted, but I don't think that she believes that Jacob was one of the votes to keep her.
It was like he was pushing some kind of narrative where like Muna cannot be trusted, but no one was buying it.
Well, he was saying, oh, well, I don't think Muna intentionally did it, or she just threw a vote on Spencer because she didn't know. But I think it was more like a subtle, like, throw Muna under the bus. Like, oh, well, Muna might claim that she voted one way, but in reality, she did it, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Either no one cared or no one believed, or everyone just knew like Muna did vote the way she said.
Yeah.
So Shireen is like making this alliance of her, Natalie, Billy, Muna, Rachel, and Marcelo. And you know who's going to be the one who flips on that alliance? Marcelo, probably Mr. Snake Noise himself, right? So Shireen is trying to lock down this group, which is a great group for her to lock down. She could, I mean, I think that's a great group. She already lost Muna today, but we hear Marcelo say that he loves Shireen and he takes back how much he hates her. And I mean, honestly, that's how I feel about her too from watching this. I was not a big Shireen fan before watching Sequester. But I have loved the Shireen content.
Her social game is immaculate. Like, it is so good.
Yeah.
Like, even when she's throwing Katie into or giving her the red jersey or whatever, like you're one of the people who can be eliminated in the first episode,
Yes.
exiled. Like her speech to Katie is like, oh, like she's not really doing this to hurt Katie. Like she has to, like, and she gives her this like inspiring speech of like, bust your ass, like I'm rooting for you.
Yes.
And I'm just like, oh my god, like Shireen is amazing.
She got away with that.
Social game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think Katie gave a fuck about that, but
she's
seething with rage, and she's like,
yeah,
but you know, other
people.
other people saw that though too, and they're just like,
yeah.
Well, not for nothing, she played on a really, I don't say awful cast in Survivor 30, but she definitely had a shitty go at it, and the people were treating her like garbage, and she had to deal with all of those relationships, plus of all the past history she had with bullying and all those things, and then played on Second Chances, where she also had a shitty go of it. And again, she's also played in minis, she's also played in other online games that we talked about, so she has a lot of expertise, and it's kind of like the pairing of her with other people who don't have that experience. It's showing, and beyond that, she's just a socially intelligent woman who just like has it. So it's been a 180 for me in terms of Shireen too. I felt for her in I won't say Winners at War and Worlds Apart, but here seeing her after watching the minis and watching this, she's a great lady.
She's doing a great job of having one-on-one relationships with
100%.
I will say something that I think I wanted to ask you guys, but something I think was bad strategy from Shireen and from several people is, do you ever tell people who you would drag if you got eliminated? No. You never. Not even. I don't even think Spencer saying one of those four are coming with me into the battle.
Don't do that. Don't even do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. And we heard Shireen for the second time say, if I get eliminated, I'm not afraid of Spencer. I'm taking him. And it's like, all right.
But she's saying that in her confessional.
Yeah. Well, she said it to Natalie.
Okay.
Last time she said it in her confessional. This time we got to hear her say it out loud.
So
I mean, we're all on the same page. You never tell anybody any idea of who you would take. Right?
There's no benefit. Yeah. It's like it's like I'm gonna vote you out next. It's like, okay, well the target's on you.
It gives everyone all of the ammunition they need to go through with a vote. If everyone wants to vote you out and they know who you're gonna choose, why would they vote for anyone else if you're not choosing them?
Yeah, the four that Spencer was calling out when he got eliminated, the four that were in that group were Billy, Muna, Josh, Brendan. Yep. Those were the four he was coming for. So everybody else is like, all right, bye, Spencer.
Yeah, I'm chilling, yeah.
And even if you don't know who the hell he's talking about, you're like, I wasn't in that conversation, so I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like addition by subtraction. It's like, well, I'm not going home. If my best ally is not going home, then I can just vote for him and I know it's fine. It's like it's like don't out that. It's
and Spencer's he is a very emotional player. Once his back is against the wall, he doesn't try to like rationally get out of the situation he's in. He just you see him kind of threatening people a little bit. You see him kind of like speaking without thinking. It's harder for him to connect with people like Muna also because he's not the kind of player who emotionally connects with people. Like Jacob might try to do, even though I don't know how sincere Jacob is when he's trying to emotionally connect with people. But it's the way Spencer is playing is not going to do well for him if he keeps just being this reactionary player.
Ultra aggressive kind of feel. Do you think that he should like hold people's hands more? Do you think he should
a little physical touch for their love languages?
Was your season this touchy, Ty? Is it because we're in a pandemic we just don't touch anybody? Ty, were people holding hands?
No.
Kissing on the hands even? No offense, Brent.
Fuck no. I would have been like, get off of me.
It's extra weird now too, because it's like they're like, which is like, it's very nice that they're having this friendship, but it's also very awkward. But it's like nice they have
I
it. But
cringe. I'm not a touchy person. I cringe. And also, like, I don't want to make fun of all the hand holding, but whenever Brendan is talking to, like, especially a dude, he's poking them in their chest. He's like, you, and I would have been
Do this thing.
Yeah. Like, it's like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
We don't see that in maybe we see it in Survivor. Anyway,
they're in a fight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't honestly say. I don't remember it being very touchy, but I haven't noticed a lot of touchiness in this season. I know Brent likes to hold people's shoulders and things like that.
Shireen is a hand holder. Shireen is holding.
Yeah.
Like a grandma.
Oh yeah, and I think Marcelo in his last episode was like, "Give me your hands, like you can do whatever you want." It's just like, why do you have like?
When all the girls came up to him after he was on the flopping block or whatever, it wasn't all the girls. Brendan was in there too. They all rushed around him, and they're all like touching him, like "You're fine, you're fine." I just felt like
that was a lot.
That was a lot.
I was Marcelo. I'd feel so smothered. Like they really were like all around him.
He was like, "I got these people
like
wrapped around my finger."
Yeah, I think Marcelo's mindset was probably like, "Oh, I'm good."
Can I just say that like
if this many people are rushing me, like trying to reassure me, I'm probably fine.
Yes. Yeah, true.
I think that after this episode, Marcelo might be like my number one favorite. I'm like kind of obsessed with Marcelo now.
Me too.
Pedicure. I love. We're fast forwarding a little bit, but like the scene of like when Billy goes to him and like asks to vote for him, and also the scene where he's looking for the LOS, but he doesn't care if he's on the minority. Like I just love all of that, kind of just the dichotomy of how he is with people. You know, when people are all around him, and he's like, "Oh, you know, it's okay, guys. I trust you so much." And then contrast that with his confessionals, where he's like, "I don't give a fuck about anybody. Like, I hate Shireen, but now I take it back." Like, I love.
Yeah, and then he's like, the scene where he's like, "But one more thing before you leave. Do my feet look good?"
Yeah,
it's like he has this. When you feel so secure in your placement in the game, like having those moments where you can make people laugh, is huge.
And Josh is so great at that too.
Yeah, yes. He just knows like, oh, no one's even looking at me right now. Like, I can like build these relationships with these people and like make them laugh, make them trust me, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah. In such a quick round, too, he gets to make that connection in what was probably like 20 minutes total. He got to make that, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one little like trio we saw during this twist that I was living for, and I hope we see more of. We saw Billy, Brendan, and Josh all have a little conversation together.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
It was immediately after they agreed to vote for Josh and then Brent the fake name. And I was like, and they immediately got together like, that shit's not gonna work. And I was like, these three right here, yes.
The most unlikely, but
I'm living for that.
Yeah. I
feel like we've seen Brendan and Billy a few times in past episodes. We never really heard them talk about it in confessional, but I do feel like that's a pair that we see a lot together. But also Billy's with everybody all the time, and so was Brendan. Brendan pops into every conversation. Billy seems like everybody in confessional is like, oh, I really trust Billy. Yeah, it's interesting.
And Billy and Josh were together from the jump in that first episode. That kind of goes away. They don't really feed us that again. Yeah, and then they brought it back into this triangular. So
this is a thing. Billy is a great social player, but she is a really great strategic player too. Like she's been. It blows my mind that no one thought to throw their vote this round on Marcelo besides Billy.
Yeah,
like and. Previous episodes, Billy has been voting in a way where eyes aren't going to be on her about where her loyalties lie. And I think she's playing an amazing strategic game and social game.
So I might have a hot take about this, but I think that Billy's time might be coming to an end soon.
Okay.
I know. I think
why?
When she was telling people about throwing her vote, when she told Marcelo about throwing her vote, and she told Muna about, or was it Jacob?
Yeah, no, she told Muna.
I think I was going to say Muna. Yeah.
And they could easily tell other people. about her doing that. I mean, she's even said in front of everybody that she voted for
she got
Marcello.
called out.
I think that might have been a bad move. I think that is seen as maybe seen as a wuss move. And that people are gonna catch that she's doing this, and it might not turn out so well for her. So that's my little hot take of the night.
It's very much a strategy that you should use to throw your vote, especially when you can be chosen for a battle match. And you saw in my season, Hunter execute it like perfectly. Like almost every round, he was throwing his vote.
Yeah,
not able to be picked. This season's a little different, but I think where we might differ in that opinion is that Billy went to Marcello and said, "This is what I'm going to do." Hunter never did that, but the fact that Marcello and Natalie said, like, or whoever else she told, knew that she was doing this beforehand. I think it will help her game. If she didn't tell them that, I think it would. I mean, we'd be having a different conversation. But
well, okay. What about this? Like, I just put my vote and myself on the line for this vote to happen, and you get to go throw your vote. Like, I'm the one who I'm going to get my vote revealed, and I might get pulled in. She told Muna she was throwing the vote, and then Muna gets brought into the battle match. So it's kind of like,
and she told Muna she was throwing the vote, and Muna was okay with it.
Yeah.
She was just like, yeah, that makes sense to do that.
Here's my thing. So I kind of agree with you, Hannah, is I think that people are catching on that Billy's social game is too good and that you can never know where Billy's loyalties lie because she's so good with everybody. And I think we've seen that 2 episodes in a row now get exposed. Last episode, Natalie trusted Billy so much. And when she called out Billy's vote, Billy voted for Natalie. And Natalie showed like how betrayed she was by Billy saying like, I'm coming after you, Billy, because like, I thought that I could trust you. I thought we were so close and you betrayed me. And now in this episode, Billy was too in good with Brent and Spencer and didn't want to betray either one. So she voted for Marcello. People are going to pick up that Billy is spread out with everybody and that all she's trying to do is like not get caught kind of, or like not put herself in a position where she like could get called into a battle match. But I think that sooner rather than later, people are going to like be questioning, is Billy actually loyal to me or is she loyal to this other person?
Yeah, she spread very, very, very thin, which is, I think that's just a facet of who she is as a person. But if she can separate that personality trait, which is a great one to have in real life, from the game going further and like actually take a stand against one of the sides of the house whenever that comes out, then that'll definitely pay off dividends. But like you're saying, if she doesn't take that stance, it's going to crumble eventually. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for pretty much anything. It works for this too, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard thing for her to do. Even in the first episode, when she has to make a decision on who to exile, she's like, I fuck with everybody. Like, I love everybody. So if no one gives me a name, I'm just going to pick someone randomly. And like, you don't want to hear that as a player in the game because it's like, people want to know where you stand.
Do you think that Natalie will get her revenge on Billy? Natalie said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get her back behind her back.
Well, Natalie also said that about Jacob in this round. So I'm like, okay, Natalie's really like, she's like Arya Stark, like making a list. Like, okay, first I have to get Billy, not to get Jacob. And then like,
not Arya Stark.
Like, Natalie, when are you going to have all this time to get all these people out? Like, is Natalie really in it for the end game? Like, is she
if Natalie turns into an Arya and like that's her arc in this series, in this season, like, I will stand it. Like, I'm here for it.
We need some chaos agents. We just lost Muna. We lost Jay West. We need someone who's going to actually like play the game like that. So if she does turn at one complete 180, that would be iconic.
She said after Luxury Row, she said, I guess I'm going to have to turn this game on its head on my own. Like, okay, Natalie.
Okay, Queen, go ahead.
And then she came out of the barn. She's like, everyone cut the crap.
And then she has like her little poem.
Oh my God.
I'm in the game to say, now I'm here to play.
And then what happened?
No, we stand Natalie. Season 3 stands Natalie.
Yeah.
We're calling her the queen of sighing because she had the like one confessional in the first round. She just sighs. Like, Natalie, the queen of sighing.
Yes, girl. Give us that exhale.
Oh my gosh.
I can't.
Speaking of season 3, I don't know if we can backtrack a little bit, but whatever, I'm going to throw this question in there. You brought up Hunter. So, Ty, I wanted to like talk to you about the whole pregame relationships thing of season 4. I have heard from plenty of my own friends about, and you know, you've seen this online, people are pretty annoyed about the pregame relationships, but I don't think that's something to super complain about. Like that's what we're dealing with right now. Okay. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Audrey got to cast whoever she wanted to cast. She saw great players in the minis. She cast them. So you got to play Sequester with a pre-game relationship, whether it was good or bad. What do you think about how that's playing out this season and whatnot?
Well, this is the thing with Sequester. It is a community, and there's the people who have opinions on the cast who are already insulated within the community are going to have their opinions. But any outsiders, anyone who's watching this season, this is their first season watching it, they don't care. They don't care who knows each other, what their relationships are, who else, like who should have been cast instead. Like they don't care about that kind of stuff. And I recognize that going into season 3. I didn't really want to talk to people within the game about me and Hunter knowing each other. Like to me, it was a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they wouldn't care. I knew the viewers probably wouldn't care. But still having that relationship when I knew probably no one else had that, because I was so ingrained in the online gaming world, I didn't recognize really anyone else there. So I figured like we were the only two who probably knew each other. It was just at some point I knew it was going to come to a head. I was nervous about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Hunter's a good player. And I think that I'm a good player, but yeah, it was just something that was always in the back of my head that wasn't in the back of the head of other players. But this season is like,
didn't Kristen and Brayden know each other?
Yeah, I didn't know that until much later. But this season, you know, everyone not only has previous relationships, but know that other people have previous relationships. So it's something that's weighing on their minds as they make their decisions. And I think you can't, you have to like take that into account of like how people are playing their games.
Right. So I had another like kind of random question. See if you can wrap your mind around this, everybody. But who in this game is not benefiting from a pregame relationship that they have in the game? Like, is there anybody who's being negatively affected by some type of history they have with someone else in the game? I mean, I guess you could say the fact that Josh told Brent that he's a big fan of him, and Brent kind of used that later to kind of make people think him and Josh aren't working together, which puts a target on Josh. That's not helping Josh.
But is Josh like a huge Brent fan? Like, did he? Like, I'm of the mindset that Josh maybe said that because he knows Brent has a big ego and wanted to hear that.
Is it benefiting him?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Jacob Jones in a sense because it's we see it come to a head this episode, and you know Muna does go out, and in my opinion, unfortunately, but it might be to the benefit of Jacob if it weren't for that blow up right before it all goes down. Because up until then, it's like, oh yeah, we're cute, we're matching, oh yeah, we're voting in this way. But then this episode was like, yo, fuck you. It was like crazy. So it really turned up.
It was so this episode was so confusing to me because Jacob is like trying to discredit Muna's loyalty like the entire episode. And then at the end, they're like kind of going at each other. And I'm just like, wait, what happened? Like what happened here? Like at some point, I feel like Jacob started to get paranoid that people were putting them together too much.
That's what I think.
Was trying to reach out and make different alliances. But I think he's doing too many. Like he's going to Natalie and being like, let's go to the end. And like, what Nat? Like, why are you going Natalie trying to go to the end with her all of a sudden? Like slow down. Like you're making too many deals. you're trying to make it seem like you want Muna out because you are paranoid that everyone sees you together, and you're like not playing. You're just not playing it well.
Yeah, I think that Jacob. See, I would love to see Jacob play a live game where he doesn't know anybody, because I think that'd be way more compelling. Because I think his whole story is going to be about his pre-game connections, and I think he's a better player than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's
I agree.
I think that he has to play super hard, I think, from this point on in order to even have a chance to win. Because I think I feel like it's been alluded to kind of subtly, but people recognize that he's a huge threat. And I think he's kind of like a default, like big threat vote out at some point a few rounds from now. I feel like he can get out of it if he plays really hard. But he's gonna have to like intentionally be putting targets on other people, so like no one can afford to get him out because they have two other like bigger fish to fry, people that are coming after them personally. But yeah, I don't think that it's gonna hurt him in the long run that he had pregame connections.
In the season preview, there's a scene that they kind of tease
The hand clap,
where Jacob is screaming like fuck, like mad.
Yeah,
I'm just like sitting here like
waiting for it. Yeah, when is it coming?
Because that's if that wasn't what that was, which I mean, him and Muna are like friends. Like if that's not where it's going to come out, where the hell is it going to come out? I'm like, we've been excited. We've mentioned that in the preview episode too. We were like, when the hell is that going to happen?
When's the clap happening? It's cooking up like he's cooking up friendships. It's heating up. The oven is preheating. We're ready.
The oven, yes.
That was
waiting for Marcelo too to be. You guys are playing emotionally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
So many moments that have yet to come.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, what is that all about?
It's like, when's that going to come into effect too? But going forward too, there's also one thing I want to bring up that kind of is around this point too. But Brendan and Spencer make a final two at around the voting part of the game, or at least when they're discussing the voting. How do you guys feel about that? Is that the right decision? Go ahead.
Spencer made a final two with Brendan. I'm not necessarily saying that Brendan made a final two with Spencer.
I'm saying.
But, yeah, I think that if I was Brendan, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll go to the end with Spencer. Like, I'll win unanimously. I don't care.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, he doesn't believe in final twos. He thinks you just get to final four, and then something happens from there. But
right.
It's true.
I think Spencer is going to have a hard time finding good allies moving forward. He's in the same kind of position that Drew Harris was in my season, where just so many people were saying he was a threat and that he needs to go, that he just could not get traction, even though he's a very loyal person and is pretty much going to do what he says. It's just hard for, once you're in that position, to get any kind of traction to put yourself in a better position than what you were before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see Spencer go far, but at the same time, he's not a threat. Like, he might, I don't even know who he's coming after really now, like maybe Rachel, but like, I feel like Rachel's protected enough that she doesn't really need to be that worried about Spencer anyways. Like, I was one of these people in the game, like, I mean, definitely Brendan, but even other people, it's like, I'm not going to get out Brendan, or I'm not going to get out Spencer. That seems like a waste of a round to me at this point.
Yeah.
Especially if I hear Shireen is going to drag him into a battle match, I'll be like, oh, let's keep Spencer around longer.
Yeah, why not? And it's like, if he's shooting for Rachel, like you said, she's so well insulated. And then not only that, her allies are so like insulated in the game. Like Shireen can basically make that happen. So he really needs like a cool down round, but he needs to now play on his toes because of being put on the spotlight.
Well, even him choosing Muna for the battle match, like, as a viewer, I'm like, you should break up Shireen, Rachel, and Billy. But I don't think
I feel like Muna
realizes she was, but like I don't think he realizes how that is an alliance. Like I think they're doing a good job of keeping it quiet, like how close those three are.
Yeah. For sure. And that's a big chunk of the game at this point. With this many people left, it's a smaller cast. Having three very loyal allies, and if there is a battle back and Moon comes back, you know.
And then Billy's talking to other people too.
Yes, and Shireen has different little people. Yeah. And that's
very
a big
dangerous.
thing.
Yeah, very dangerous trio.
How do you feel with that too? Because your cast was obviously way bigger. Do you think that like played an effect in terms of other types of alliances you made, or is it just like watching the season? Do you think it would be like a different way to play? Of course it is, but like in what ways do you think?
I mean, it's hard to tell. I started out having an alliance with just Thomas and Matt because and this is a thing too, is like we had roommates. We had like people we slept in the same rooms with.
Oh,
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
this season, they don't have that.
Right.
So having people you're at the end of the night going to the same room with and like sharing information creates a whole different dynamic.
100%.
And Matt was one of those people he was the room across from us, but there was only like 6 people upstairs. Everyone else was somewhere else in the house. So like those are the people like I was like, okay, now I can talk to these people right now.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That made a difference with the strategy.
Yeah,
Alliances.
whole different dynamic.
Wow.
And so I started out with that, and then Matt left pretty early, and then I was trying to work with Hunter and Braden, and then Braden was like, I'm gonna pick Hunter, and then like ended up picking me. And it's like so that fell apart.
Right.
And so after that, it was just like the people who I made alliances with early on left pretty early.
Right.
So at that point, I didn't really click with a lot of the people left. So that for me was just like, I'm just going to let people take each other out and like see how far I can get.
Yeah.
That makes sense though.
Well, I feel like we should track the Muna and Spencer relationship kind of across the 3 episodes. Just briefly to sum it up. First episode, we saw that Brent made a deal with Muna for her to exile Spencer. So that's kind of what we saw that in the first episode. Second episode, I don't feel like there was too much, but obviously Muna voted against Spencer in that game. And then in this episode, the first interaction we see of them, it's kind of after that big group of 7 is made. Muna and Spencer talk one-on-one, and Muna says, hey, I told you straight up the previous round, like, that I was voting for you, so I hope you can respect that, and we can move forward and, like, build trust. And, Spencer kind of shrugs it off, kind of says, yeah, like, that's fine. And then they kind of leave. And obviously, we see the rest of the round play out. So I'm curious because I personally feel like Muna was the right choice for him to pick. I think it's, in my opinion, it's very clear that like that was the right pick. I just want to know strategically, do you guys think that was the right decision for him to pick Muna?
Yeah, I mean, so I was hear me out. I was so surprised that I wanted Spencer to beat Muna. Isn't that crazy?
I did not. I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy because but on my second watch, I was definitely not a Spencer fan, but in the moment I was like, Spencer is completely an underdog. He has nothing right now. It's kind of his own fault, honestly. Yeah. But he has nothing. And so, here we go. Here's the underdog that you like end up in these shows. You root for the underdog. And he calls out the queen. He says, like, I'm not here for a coronation, blah, blah, blah. So, he's taken on someone who has a lot of power in the house. So I don't know. So I think it's like, and I do think it is the right strategic move for him because he burnt that bridge with her. He has no working relationship with her whatsoever going forward. So if you're going to take out someone, why not take out someone who there's no chance that you're going to work with because of your own fault? But that was the right move, I thought.
I do think Muna should have tried, even though Muna and Spencer had their, quarrel before the votes were revealed. I think she should have tried harder to get votes on Brent. Because if she knew Spencer was picking her and that they had their tiff, I think she was just like, I'm done with Spencer. Like, fuck it. Like, I don't care if he picks me. And like, I think she should have made more of an effort to like get some votes on Brent.
Yeah.
Just to protect her own neck.
This is where I thought that that Spencer went wrong, and in relation where Muna went wrong. Spencer totally blew it when he got in her face when she came to him and she was like, can we talk about the vote? And he freaks out and goes off, right?
I'm done with you.
I'm done.
Yeah, like don't be dramatic.
Does he not know? Was he not aware that the whole house is split between Brent and Spencer? They're trying to figure out Brent or Spencer, Brent or Spencer. The whole we just keep on saying Brent or Spencer, Brent or Spencer. So Muno actually wants Brent out. We hear her say that.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that. And he thinks that he is so sure in the votes he has. But if he knows that the house is super split right now, people are going to. You don't. Well, we do see later. He kind of gets told that it's between both.
Yeah, Rachel and Brendan go to Brent and say, like, the house is split 50-50.
Yeah. And so maybe he was confident beforehand.
I think Spencer knew he had the votes.
Yeah.
When it came to him. And that's why he.
High and mighty, like I don't need to talk with you. Like don't suck up to me right now. And yeah, I just think that especially if they're gonna vote out Spencer, they want the most votes possible on Spencer because that's what Brent's pitch was. You know, you're gonna have a low chance of getting picked for the battle match against Spencer. So, you know, if people hear that the votes are going that way, that's the way they're going.
But also Brent's pitch, so you see Rachel kind of countering what Brent's saying, just like, well, why would I do that? Because it's not like previous seasons where if you vote for someone, everyone stands up. Mm-hmm. You have to choose 3 people to expose their votes. So saying everyone put your votes on this person, like this is Brent's pitch, like didn't make sense to me in this format because not everyone is going to stand up.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but you don't have to, like we saw in this episode, you don't have to pick somebody who you reveal their vote. Like Spencer revealed 3 votes and then still picked Muna anyway. I feel like he already had made his mind up before the round was even over that he's picking Muna.
I mean, if I was Brent, I would have been making the pitch like everyone put your votes on him. He's not going to pick you to reveal your vote, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to pick Natalie to reveal her vote. He's going to pick people like Billy or
those 4 people that he called out earlier.
Yeah, which he made happen too. And it's just like at that point, it's hard for him to make a decision about like at that point he's already dug his grave because Muna's pointing out you made an emotional move and not in a good way. You're not picking a friend. You're picking someone that you actually were friends with, but now are creating an enemy out of. So obviously I missed a second, but I feel like he's digging himself further in a grave there when he did it. Strategically, it makes sense because yes, this person might be divisive, but now going forward for who you are in terms of a target, you're going to either be dragged to the end because if you keep going on this negative tirade with emotions, who would especially when everyone on this season is a part of the jury, who is going to vote for you at that point? You've already created the narrative of not even just cool villain like Russell or like Parvati or like someone from Sequester. Obviously, like people who have been around the on season 3, of course. Like there's definitely different people in the Sequester community that can be considered villains, even though we know them more personally. I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm saying. Like now it's like this is the narrative. Everyone's on the jury. What are you going to do now?
And he's showing everyone that he can't play with a level head.
Yeah.
It's just it came off in just bad taste.
He's saying when I come back, I'm gonna blow things up. Like I'm gonna be even more chaotic. Like the reason I'm here right now that got me here is because you all don't trust me, and I'm gonna be even more crazy when I come back. And it's like, what are you doing? Like that's not what people want to hear from you.
No.
No one wants to work with me. Well, you know what? I'm going to make sure no one wants to work with me.
Take my ball and go home.
Yeah. I said in the preseason podcast that I think Spencer is better suited to a game like Survivor because Shireen said in her preseason interview that like Survivor is for like mediocre people. It's like people who can kind of just like be in the middle and not cause waves. And in the end, they like have a good story and they get the votes or something. I feel like Spencer, similarly, I almost feel like Nick Wilson and David versus Goliath also like had a lot of blow-ups and like would get so mad when he was left out of the vote and like go off on people. But it's a 39-day game, so you have time to build deep interpersonal relationships. So when you do get mad, you can go have a conversation with people the next day and be like, oh, like, hey, I'm so sorry about that. We're still working together. Like, we're still good. And people know you already.
You can hug it out.
Yeah, like
Well,
okay,
I mean,
let's
no, trust
bond
me,
over
we see
it.
plenty of hugs in Sequester season 4. I'm not. You don't need to see any more hugs.
41
But-
is the season of no hugs, baby. No hugs island.
Yeah,
You get voted out and you just can't hug anyone for 40 days. Like that's it. But
Yeah,
it's true
wait,
though.
I'm like, where is the hand sanitizer?
we should just make an LRG called COVID-19 where you have to like stay socially 6 feet apart and like there's absolutely no physical contact.
It's called the
involved.
circle.
I was gonna say the circle. The circle, man. Like, can we get that shit back? Because you think it would be working better now. But anyway, it's like, girl, we can't be around anyone, so put me in a room like by myself.
Yeah.
No, but I get exactly what you're saying though. It makes total sense because I know it's half funny, but also there is like the half serious aspect of it where like you cannot, even if you're playing an org or an LRG, you cannot have blowups like this. And this is a week-long game, which is longer than the games have been. So that's going to stay with people in a different way because you're building these emotional relationships. And if you get something that's that viscerally negative, that's going to stay with people. And Muna said it best. She got to paint her own narrative, which I think is a powerful moment right here because she's feeling patronized as a woman. For her to say, you're putting this like, I forget exactly how she said it, but you're putting this like this basically toxic masculinity on her. She got to guide that narrative, which I think was an immediate payoff for her. Like she gets to say, no, you don't get to tell me how I react to this because this is my emotion. I really fuck with that. Like on a personal and emotional level, I was like, strategically, it makes sense for Spencer to pull her in, but I'm glad she got to say that as a human to be like, that's the vibe.
Yeah, Katie got to argue her point both times she was dragged. They let Katie talk. Why weren't they going to let Muna talk?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it comes down to like that's like Spencer's like a very like angry, like reactive. Like I would say reactive is like the word that comes to mind with Spencer. Is like when his back is against the wall and he's like feeling the pressure, like he has blinders on, like he cannot think about anything else except like revenge and I'm gonna like make you guys pay. Which I mean, obviously I don't necessarily condone the way that was carried out. But I do think like once he's calmed down, I think I hope him and Muna made up eventually.
Yes.
Yeah, and they probably will because once everything's all said and done and winner is crowned, like it is like everyone gets pretty close and like it realizes that it's a game.
Yeah. And I know for myself, like the person that I am when I play games is like totally different from who I am in real life. Like I can be kind of like visceral and like very like negative and pissed off when I play games, but I'm not like that in real life at all. So hopefully people can separate a little bit. I don't know why you're laughing, Hannah. Hopefully people can separate
I
a
don't know
little
why
bit.
you're laughing.
You call her out.
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. Hopefully people can get to know Spencer on like a real life personal level is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
When he before the battle match started, he said like good luck, and I'm genuinely saying good luck, and I just had to write a note that like whenever anybody says honestly or if they say like genuinely, they're not being genuine and they're not being honest. So just a little tidbit. If you pay attention to like if I'm gonna be honest right now, it's like no, that really means if I want you to really believe what I'm about to say right now. So genuinely, he said genuinely, I wish you good luck.
As a New Yorker, we need to implement a dead ass rule type of stuff into this. Like we need them to just be 100% wholehearted serious. But when they're saying to be honest, there's nothing more opposite of saying dead ass.
Well,
if you're just
if
you're saying to be honest, like or like no offense. Oh no.
Oh,
I'm taking offense. Yeah, I'm like come on.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like Muna. Great player. I really think she had good intentions of like making things good with Spencer. It just didn't work out. And that's the nature of the game. Like you can say something to someone and Sequester will throw something at you where you can't make that happen.
Yeah.
And I think she genuinely wanted to make things good with Spencer and just couldn't make it happen. And I think Spencer was just seeing red about it and, reacted the way he did. And I think Muna was just crushed by it because she had good intentions, but didn't even get a chance to explain herself to him because the narrative of their relationship in this game was just in his eyes, like she constantly is going against me. And in her eyes, it's just like, I really wanted to like help you out and like mend whatever shit we had.
Mm-hmm.
It just couldn't happen because that's what the game does. It makes you have to change whatever plans you had set in front of you.
And you kind of have to change your personality when need be. I mean, Brent's comment right now says the point of protesting is to get Spencer to change his mind. And she got it. So if we're going to say that Spencer, I said that Spencer had an emotional reaction to Muna. Muna had an emotional reaction when she was called out. And that was, like, we saw that with Jay West and Josh.
They both did.
Yeah. So
Muna could have
done something else.
Let him do his thing and then try to convince him. But they both reacted very emotionally to each other. Yeah. Because they had such a tumultuous relationship so far in this game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Muna's, and we heard this in episode 1, that she said, my weakness is that I care too much. I get very emotionally attached to people. And I think even more than that, we saw that her problem in this game was honesty. I think that last episode, we didn't even talk about it enough, that how bad it was that she was telling Spencer, I can't vote for Natalie because she's from Minnesota. And she just would not give him anything. She would not really give him a chance to say, oh, I might vote for you, or I hope we can still work together. I feel like she needs to lie a little bit more. She needs to really maybe she just needed to straight up tell Spencer I will not vote for you, and then throw her vote somewhere. But she wants to say who she's voting for. She wants to follow through. She wants to show that she's good for her word. But I don't think that works as well in a Sequester live game when there's battle matches as it does in a Sequester mini, where I think your word pays off a little bit more, and people respect the honesty a bit more, and you're not going to get dragged as often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saying I can't vote for someone because they're from the same state as me doesn't fly with me. It's just not a valid. If I was playing and someone's from Indiana or Georgia, I'd be like, oh, they gotta go.
I don't want to be the only one. Actually, can we target that?
I've met a lot of bad people in both of those states.
Yeah, it's I live there. I know what shit goes
on.
Oh,
you're from... Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, then you're out.
I would love to hear, this would never happen, but if someone's gonna pull someone into a battle match, you can't do that. I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. Or that's the reason someone pulls them in. I'm so sorry I have to do this, Muna, but you are actually the only other Minnesotan. So if you could take your spot up here, that would actually be great.
Yeah. Yeah. If we saw that last week with Natalie and Muna, that would have, oh man, I would have died.
I know.
Minnesota, get up here.
Minnesota, get on, come
on. Minnesota.
But in all, we hit the points that were really big earlier that come back to fruition here. So there's a lot of pregame alliances, both good and bad, like we talked about with Ty in his season, right? But then there's also here, we have that, and also people that play emotionally versus people that play too strategically. And that is what this big ball is at the end. We haven't mentioned it yet, but we are also big on talking about how entertaining the challenges are. Can I say, I know I'm not a good indicator of being entertained by challenges because I'm not a big challenge person. I was very entertained.
What? I was not. I'm just so boring.
I'm so easily entertained after working all day that I'm like, yo, let's watch this toddler. Listen, love Audrey, love Sequester. Thank you for putting this on during a pandemic. I was living for this challenge.
No, I did not like it. I did not like the challenge.
Wait, you didn't like the Hunter and Jess call-outs time?
Oh, he's a savage.
I did like that. I did like that.
He's a savage.
When he was like, a savage? That's the first time I ever heard anyone call that kid a savage. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I will say I don't think the challenge is super exciting, but I do think it's really important that Sequester does these gender neutral challenges, because we see that so much in Big Brother and Survivor that is a big influence on how the game plays out. And I want to see more emphasis on the social and strategic games, and not have people be scared of people like Spencer and Brendan in the game.
Right.
And have it more just pure social.
Oh, I hated hearing him say, I'm the biggest physical threat here, and there's no question about it. It's
oh man, especially literally, they do those little confessionals outside right before the battle match, and Spencer's like, nobody's gonna dominate me in a physical challenge. I'm gonna dominate this, and then 2 seconds later, it's a memory challenge.
Yeah,
I was just Like, it's embarrassing, honestly, to go back and watch that and see how much he's bragging about, like, how dominant he is. And it's like, it's a memory challenge.
That was
And I
great.
mean, if I can say a good thing about Brent here, which is honestly very hard for me to do, when he's like, come on, like, this, everyone knows Sequester is gender neutral challenges. This isn't fucking Survivor. Get with it, people. I was just like,
True.
There it is.
That's
There
fact.
it is.
good job,
I'm
Brent.
glad it's not Survivor because we already have that show. Like, let's have a show where it's equal for men and women to compete.
Let's watch people play memory.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I'm
not
in.
my favorite.
Next week it's going to be Scrabble. The week after that it's Yahtzee. It's just going to be like all those
Monopoly.
games go on. Yeah. Oh no, that's longer than
4
like
hours.
3 successful episodes combined, Pat. Like we don't have time for.
It's an endurance challenge.
But you know what? Good thing. Good thing that Brent is still in because the ratings were saved this
God.
episode.
Honestly, that's why we had Ty on because we just needed somebody from Sequester to boost our ratings.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Ty, for boosting our ratings.
You know,
He deserves to be here over any of us. Honestly,
Yeah, everyone knows I'm great for ratings.
Can I tell both? And can Ty just stay from now on?
Yes,
Also-
Pat, you're the Spencer that we're going to sacrifice to keep Ty
It's
because
okay.
he's good for ratings.
Okay, I'm dragging your ass to the jury. Also, can we talk about
Wait, am I
Brent?
muted now?
Queen? Can we talk about
No.
Brent being on The Price is
Yeah.
Right and his logo? Are we just ignoring that? Maybe that's just a me thing.
Wait, you
Sorry.
didn't know that already, Pat?
How
I
did
don't
miss
think
this, Brent?
I don't think we've talked about Brent enough. We need to talk.
Yeah, let's talk
more about Brent.
one more thing. Congrats on Price is Right. Let me be the last person to ever tell you. I was just like, what? But yeah, overall, who do you think is going home next week? We're usually pretty good at this. I think either Luke or Hannah, you guys, one of you guessed Muna last week.
I don't think anyone guessed Muna last week.
Wait, really?
no.
Wasn't it one of us? Maybe
Luke
not.
has been on the Spencer
I
train
guessed
forever.
Spencer.
Oh,
It was like a
okay.
week in a
We're
row.
good then. Sorry, I didn't realize
But
that.
someone guessed Jacob. Didn't you guess Jacob last week, Pat?
Yeah, I did.
So
I thought
I
it was
think-
coming.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's up soon, honestly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so dependent on what the twist is of the round, and like who's available to go home.
True.
But
Yeah, but I mean, they could just make Spencer available again because it wasn't that hard this round to like make sure that Spencer was available to be an option to vote out.
Mhm.
But
He's not busy.
I don't think he's going to get voted out next round. I think that's going to be like the decoy name next round.
Yeah.
For the rest of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's a narrative being built that a lot of people are sus of Jacob, and a lot of people just feel like he's just constantly feeding them bullshit.
Yeah, and people are sus of
And-
Jacob. He's being sus. So like,
Yes.
Yeah.
he was doing too much this round.
So I think if I had to say a good house decision would be Jacob.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Now that Moon is gone, maybe Jacob's threat level is a little less.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Doesn't have that connection.
We did get a lot of content about him this episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, when it was all like shady content, like we see him going to 2 separate people. I think it was Natalie and also who was the other person? Like Rachel and Shireen saying that like Muna didn't vote for Spencer, she voted for Natalie. And then we also see him when it's Spencer versus Brent saying, "Oh, like I'm gonna go between both sides and make sure that like I give both sides a little bit of information so that I'm not pulled into the battle match."
But they were
know that I might vote for them.
already doing that. Like
Yeah.
he didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I feel like this episode, Jacob was just like doing too much when he needed to just like lay low and lay back and like let other people make themselves targets. I don't think that. I think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I loved the confessional of Rachel like having him clocked. Of you know, like I can only trust Jacob in the short term, like long term, he's not my plans. We saw Natalie have a very similar sentiment. And also we saw Rachel. I know Brett mentioned this in the comments earlier about like Brent was saying, you know, I'm gonna be great for the ratings, and Rachel goes, well, what does that do for me? Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
And then Brendan also is like, Brent's talking about ratings, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Brendan has the best confessionals, hands
Yes.
down. I'm here for Brendan.
yeah.
I'm a big Brendan fan. for
Yes.
sure.
Me too. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to be, but like I'm pleasantly surprised. I just remember him from the minis and I liked him in them, but I couldn't imagine him giving a confessional until I saw it, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's doing great, and I love the setup that we got for like Brendan versus Shireen. I don't know how soon that's going to pay off, but I love that both of them in confessionals was like, well, I'm working with them for now, but no, we're gonna go after each other soon. I think they just kind of realize that like, even though they're working together, they're kind of at like the bottom.
And you get kind of
together.
Yeah, you get kind of the same thing with Rachel and Brent too.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
it's more one-sided. It's more like Rachel saying she doesn't.
Yeah, her being like, "Whoa."
I love a good like one-sided like
just beef. Yeah.
Like Steve Moses and Becky from Big Brother 17 loved that. I love that. I love this like this Rachel versus Brent. We're like every episode we just get like Rachel trashing and dunking on Brent. It's so good.
I've already made my hot take that I think we could see Billy be going out soon. She's either going out soon or she might be winning. I don't know, but that's where I'm at for next week.
I'm gonna double down on Jacob. I think I was a week early. I've learned with Sequester after watching Survivor for a long time and Big Brother more recently that they're very good about not giving an overwhelming edit. But I think here, Jacob, just reading the game, how it's going, and that was a quick round, they're going to flow right in with the same sentiments with no time to smooth it over. I feel like if that sentiment, if he's on the chopping block or on the flopping block, it's definitely going to be.
He just had a really bad round. I don't think anyone came out of this round trusting Jacob or wanting to move forward with Jacob.
100%.
Man, I don't know who I think is going to go out next week. Because I don't want to say the same answer as you guys. That's boring. I'm going to say Josh. I think the filibuster thing was not great. And like, if Spencer does get targeted, he might choose Josh. And also, like, I don't feel like we're getting a lot of content for him long-term necessarily. And Josh, don't come after me in the comments because I still love you. But it could be Josh.
Wow. All right. Dark horse pick.
I like that.
Okay. I don't think so. I think Josh is here for a minute.
Yeah.
I do too, but I'm just going to throw out a name.
Throw out a name. Who's the decoy? I was trying to make fun of the episode.
Spencer's going to be the decoy.
Okay, there we go. I'll tell people Spencer. You just make sure you vote Josh. We got this. Okay, this room right here.
You got to talk like. Okay, I gotta make a comment about how Jacob Jones does diary rooms. He goes like this. He's talking with his hand right to the camera like this. I was like, oh, he keeps pointing at me.
I love it.
Have you guys noticed that? Is that just me?
I love Jacob.
He gets very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
With me, I was like, God damn, this light is really bright.
Y'all back close. Back up.
But he's very comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we also saw like Jacob. He was talking to Brendan at one point. He like puts his hand on Brendan, like kind of like pushes him and like grabs him a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so jarring. Now we're getting like such like bro contact right now. No, I'm not. I don't know which is worse, like somebody like grabbing me and shaking me, or like holding my hands. Like both are very cringy. Well, any more comments about the episode, guys?
I'm excited to see more of Natalie. I think we talked about a lot of people besides her. I feel like she was bonding with Spencer a lot in this episode. Like you saw them together talking a lot. And like she was kind of like in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
So if Spencer has a chance of getting allies, I think it's with her.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly if there's any fallout with any other alliances. But Natalie is someone who survived a battle match. And I think she's a huge wild card for me. So like I want to see like more of her and like who she wants to work with. Like want to see her make some moves and see like what she's all about, because I haven't gotten a lot of that yet. And she's the only person I feel like I haven't had that from.
I think Natalie's in it for the long haul. I will say I think she's a lock for Final Four.
Whoa.
I could see it though. I agree.
I'm telling you, I'm getting Jess Yeager vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess heated up as the season went on because of all the plays and stuff. So that makes total sense.
But Jess was making moves early in this.
Yeah. She wasn't floating. She was just like, it just so happened that people were like, oh, we don't think twice about Jess. And then it was like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exact. And also your season started with 20 and we're already at 13. So I feel like,
right.
I don't know. There was Jess had more time to just like, she could kind of just like blend in and like not really be chosen early. Whereas I feel like Natalie, there's 13 people and you're kind of like the quietest one. I think that was not a great position for her to start in and being unconnected. But
I just feel like she's the one that I need to see more of.
For sure.
I think we're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get that content from her.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's Arya Stark. She has her list. She's gonna be crossing those names off one by one. I think it's gonna be a compelling story.
Hey, I lived for the trailer that had Billie Eilish's "Bad Guy" music with Natalie's narration. Did you guys catch that? It was so good. I was like, "Oh, Natalie!"
I remember that. I'll have to go back and watch it though.
Yes, it's so good. Anything else, guys? Anything else we want to say before we end this shindig?
Oh, thank you, Ty.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a blast having you here. And thanks for spilling all the tea and the hot takes and all that stuff. Whoever's listening, watching, whatever, remember to like subscribe on YouTube. We're making those subscribe things happen, and like the Facebook page at Live Reality Games. And there is a podcast where we upload this as an audio file.
Can I say something though about Live Reality Games?
Yes.
So there's a series that the series that me and Hunter met on. It's called Can You Survive? It's an online game.
Oh, right.
Brandon Clark is the host of that, and he is trying his hand at doing a live version of it. And the first season is going to be in July. So if anyone watching this wants to try their hand at this game, he's an incredible guy, has a great mind for this stuff. It's all for charity. It's going to be in July, and you can find it on Facebook. It's a Can You Survive charity event, I think.
Is it is it a private group?
Yes. Yeah.
Here, let me pull it up on the screen. I have it.
An incredible host when I played online, and that's where I met Hunter. That's how we all, like, me and him had our previous relationship, was playing that online game. But he's going to be doing a live version in July. I have all the respect for him, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So if anyone watching this thinks they can try their hand at one of these, I think that would be a good one to jump into.
Yeah, anyone who likes watching Sequester, who is like dabble in online games, I cannot recommend enough trying out a live game, because they are insanely fun. You learn a lot about yourself. You meet a lot of interesting people. So that is why you need to like the Live Reality Games Facebook page, like the LRG casting page, which is a separate page specifically for LRGs to post their casting applications, which hopefully in 2021 we'll have a lot more LRGs without the pandemic. Hopefully we're all vaccinated and it won't be a big deal anymore. But yeah, LRG is a fantastic experience. So definitely apply to those.
And you can find out, can you survive?
Ooh. Yes, yeah. Can you survive? But Can You Survive is, I mean, it's been around forever. Like that's how I actually knew Audrey. Like I was introduced to Audrey through Brandon Clark, who started Sequester. And there's so many people, there's so many like intersectionality, and it's a good community, the online games. And I'm just excited to see what he's going to do, like branching out to like live games. So I'm excited.
Yes. And it's in Maine too. That's got to be beautiful.
Yeah. And Brett, of course, added audition for season 5 of Sequester. That is NLRG casting, I believe.
Duh.
So definitely apply for season 5 of Sequester.
Yeah. So if you're talking smack, show us what you got.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Pat.
I know. Here I am. I've only played it once, but here we go.
All right. Well, might as well wrap it up. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks for everybody watching and listening. And we will see you next week on Tuesday.
Bye.
Woo-hoo.
Peace.